Okay, this is what successful pediatric feeding therapy looks like. Okay, I'm okay with the mess. I'm having fun. Food tastes good, and I love to eat. That's where we're going. As a review from Module 1, the relationship between gross motor and oral motor, chronological age, this is chronological, birth to 3 months, for our purposes, the primary gross motor milestone that we want is flexion, developmental flexion. They should come that way if they were healthy. And why is flexion there? How come? Why do we come with flexion? Much more developed than extension.
Stability.
Yeah.
Stability. Yes.
Organization.
Organization. Coming in like this is very good for neurological organization because coming into midline and like this, don't we still, when we're just totally losing it, what do? We go into a fetal position. Okay, very calming. Stability was mentioned. Here's another bumper sticker. You need stability before mobility. That's like a mantra in the OTPT world. I'm sure they use it in their meditation practices. Okay? Light some incense and stability before mobility. but actually, guys, that applies like it's for everything in your life. Like with your checkbook. You need stability before mobility. You need money in there before it goes out, unless you have a bulimic bank account like mine. So everything that goes in goes right back out right away. Think about, you need stability in the trunk. This has to be stable in order to move the extremities successfully. Well, guess what? You also need the stability here in the trunk to have safe mobility in the oral pharynx. You've got to have trunk control to have a safe swallow. And that's real critical. For SLPs, I can remember being told, we don't treat anything below the neck. We don't look at anything below the neck. Well, guys, it's the foundation for everything we do. So we have to look below the neck. We have to see what is going on with the core. I'll do that part later. Okay, so we're supposed to come with flexion, and we come with a suckle. What's a suckle?
Rapid movement.
Rapid in and out movement of the tongue. It's going like that. Oh, kind of sounds like a tongue thrust, doesn't it? All right. I'll come back to that. Now, at 4 to 6 months, what are we supposed to be seeing in a neurotypical child? That everything's going fine. And you do remember the bumper sticker, stress delays development? And that's any kind of stress. Physical stress, emotional stress. Stress delays development. And most of the kids we're treating had some kind of stress. That's how they ended up on our caseloads, right? So keep that in mind. All right, but 4 to 6 months, they should be rolling. Actually, we're supposed to see it around 3 months. All right, once you roll, then you can start changing what's going on in the mouth. Once you get that amount of strength in the core, then you'll see changes in up here. So more stability, more mobility. Then we'll go to a suck. And a suck is up and down movement of the tongue. What is helping this is also that they're growing and they're getting more oral space so that the tongue actually can move up and down. A lot of times when they're first born, the only place to move is in and out. At 6 months of age, we should be seeing them sit up. That's if they get enough tummy time, which is not happening, at least here in the United States. They sleep on their back and they get carried around in buckets all day, and they sit in baby hammocks and so forth like this, and they're on their backs all the time. You've got to have tummy time to keep going with the developmental progression. So sit up. Well, once we can sit and we've got that amount of increased strength here, then we'll have changes here. We can start spoon feeding. once they can sit up. And that's pretty important, okay? 8 to 12 months, well, at 8 months, we should be seeing a crawl. So we're going like this. Then we'll see a chew. Because a crawl is weight shifting at the hips. And you can't weight shift at the lips unless you can weight shift at the hips. And a chew is weight shifting.
That was a bumper sticker.
That was a bumper sticker. And it's really at the jaw, but that doesn't rhyme. So we would put it the other way. Once you can walk, look at what's going on here. I am disassociating left, right sides of my body, top and bottom. I can have rotation at the hips. Then I can handle table foods. But you can't handle table foods and all that's involved there, having different textures, different consistencies, mixed consistencies. And by the way, mixed consistency is not, it's not supposed to go Gerber 1, Gerber 2, Gerber 3. Mixed consistencies is harder than just handling the solids. So that's going to take a lot more sophistication. All right, something to add here. When you do your evaluation, you need to look at where they are gross motor wise. What's their gross motor age? And then you know what you can expect for oral motor. But if you have a kiddo who cannot sit on his own, you're not going to get to chew, no matter how much you do in that mouth. Because development happens gross to fine. Here's gross motor. Oral motor is fine motor. So development happens, and this is another bumper sticker. Gross to fine, proximal to distal. And the mouth is distal from the core. So, and I had told you about that kiddo that I worked with for 2 years and never got him chewing, and he couldn't sit independently. And that's why I never got him chewing. Okay, sensory-based problems, just real quick. And Rach, you might pull back. I don't know if you got me up close or not, but I'm going to walk across here, so get a wide view. Remember that we talked about the bell curve, and we talked about sensory-based problems that you've got kind of the normal, neurotypical, being able to handle the sensory input from foods. And I think it went hyposensitive was on this end, and hypersensitive was on this end, and we evaluated the sensory input from taste and all those other things that we looked at. So that's in Module 2. Taste, temperature, texture, and so forth. And we said, where are you on this? And it was kind of fun watching everybody eat tonight, and see where they are and who was really liking the crunch. And we had Mexican tonight. So I was like, I got you pegged, and I got you pegged. I was watching. Now, this is a picture from a long time ago of me working with a darling little girl who came over here from Poland. And you can see that she had a lot of craniofacial abnormalities. She had had a lot of surgeries. And I am on, maybe this was like the 3rd visit. She was very, very defensive because she'd had all these surgeries and everybody coming in her mouth. And she was like this. Now, remember, well, I'll go into that later. I am in her mouth doing a Beckman C stretch on the 3rd visit. Now, I don't force. I never force my way into a child's mouth. There's a reason for that, okay? Let me think how to put it. All right, the definition of rape would be, let's say, forced, what's the word I want? I used to have it. Forced what?
Penetration.
Forced penetration of a sensitive bodily orifice. That sounds like rape. That also sounds like forced oral motor work, doesn't it? There have been some studies that showed that the trauma induced by forced feeding was very similar to the trauma induced by rape. You need to establish trust. This all needs to happen in a trust-based relationship. Otherwise, we're going to have issues down the road. And I really think somebody needs to do a study on how many kids who had bad oral motor feeding therapy ended up with eating disorders in their teens. I really think somebody needs to do that. I don't know how to set it up. But anyway, I'm there and I'm doing a Beckman C stretch with her, and she's aversive. Now there's a difference between aversive and hypersensitive. Hypersensitive means that you feel it more. Aversive means you're afraid of what's coming. Aversive is a psychological, help me with words, guys, a psychological thing. Reaction. Hypersensitivity is a neurological issue or physiological. I used to have a really good bumper sticker for that, but I can't remember it right now. So anyway, how am I getting in her mouth on like the second or third visit to do a C stretch? Trust.
In the ball pit.
And I'm in the ball pit. That's right. Because I'm giving lots of good sensory input and stuff that calms and relaxes. Also, I'm not the only one in there. Mom is holding her in there so that she feels safe. So some things to keep in mind as we go into